Okay, so next let's go ahead and download and install VirtualBox. So what we have to do, we have to navigate to this link, virtualbox.org /wiki/download. And since I'm going to install in a Windows operating system, I'm going to click on the Windows host so I can download that file. And I'm going to scroll down, and there is another file that we need, and that is the VirtualBox extension pack. This will allow me to add extra functionality to the application, like USB support, remote desktop, and many other functions. So I'm going to click on this link and download that. And once it's finished, let's go ahead and install it. Okay, so let's go to the file manager and head over to downloads, and let's search for VirtualBox. I'm going to double click on the link, click run. I'm going to click next, next again to accept the defaults, create start menu entries, create shortcut in the desktop, create shortcut in the quick launch bar. I don't want this one, and register file associations. I'm going to click next, yes, and install. Okay, so once installation is complete, go ahead and click finish, and this will open the VirtualBox manager. All right, so next I'm going to install the VirtualBox extension pack. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Tools, then click on Preferences, and Next Extensions, and I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to select the extension pack that we downloaded, and I'm going to click Open. I'm going to say Upgrade. I'm going to read the license agreement, click Agree, click Yes, and I'm going to let it install. Click OK, and OK. All right, so after installing VirtualBox, the next thing that I want to do is to download a copy of Windows 10 Professional. So I'm going to open my browser. I'm going to head over to the address bar, and I'm going to type Windows 10 Pro ISO download. And I'm going to click on the first link, which is for Windows 10 disk image. Here I'm going to scroll down until I see download tool now. I'm going to click on it. All right, so once the download is complete, I'm going to open the file manager and click on the downloads directory. Here I'm going to search for media creation tool, press enter, and I'm going to right click on it and copy it to my desktop. Okay, so I'm going to double click on it. All right, so next I'm going to scroll down to the license agreement, and I want to click accept. All right, so next I want to click on create installation media, USB flash drive, DVD, or ISO file. Click next. I want to accept all the defaults. I'm going to leave everything as it is, and I'm going to click next. Here I'm going to select ISO file, click next. I want to select a folder where I want to save the image, or where I want the image to be downloaded. I'm going to select my downloads directory, and I want to click save. So now the Windows 10 image is being downloaded to my hard drive, and I'm going to get up and grab a cup of coffee. All right, so once the download is finished, I'm going to go ahead and click finish. Now I want to go back to VirtualBox, and I'm going to click on tools, and I want to create a new virtual machine. So I'm going to click on new. This is going to start the new virtual machine wizard. For the name, I'm going to name it Windows 10 Pro 2, since I already have a Windows 10 Pro 1. The rest is going to be as default, and I'm going to click next. For the amount of memory that I want to assign to this virtual machine, I'm going to set it to 4048, and I'm going to click next. That's 4 gigs. For the type of hard drive, I'm going to create a new virtual hard drive. Click create. It's going to be a VDI type of hard drive. Click next. It's going to be dynamically allocated, meaning that I won't assign the whole full size of the hard drive at once, so it will grow as the virtual machine needs more space. I'm going to click next. For the space, I'm going to leave it as 50 gigs for the hard drive. I'm going to click create. Once the virtual machine has been created, I'm going to click on settings, as I need to adjust a few settings here before starting the installation. I'm going to click on advanced, and for share clipboard, I want to select a bidirectional, and the same for drag and drop. This is going to allow me to copy and paste text between the host operating system and the guest operating system. And data encryption, I'm not going to do anything there. By the way, if you decide to later change the name, you can change it here. I'm going to click on system. Here you can adjust the size of the RAM, the memory. So if you don't have enough memory on your computer, you can select, for example, 3 or maybe even 2 gigabytes, which is not advisable, given the fact that virtual machine need memory in order to run. They need plenty of memory in order to run. For the processor, I'm going to leave it as 1 processor. You can change the number here. Next, I'm going to come here to display. I'm going to leave it as 128 megabits for the video memory. And I'm going to click on storage. And here where it says empty, this is your CD, DVD emulator. I'm going to click on this drop-down menu here. And I'm going to click on choose a disk file. And I'm going to select the image that I downloaded from Microsoft. I believe the name of the image is Windows. It's an ISO file, so I'm going to click asterisk.iso. See, that gives me any results. Here we go. I'm going to click open. And I want to also click on live CD DVD, which is going to allow me to boot the computer from the ISO image. And finally, I'm going to click on network. I want to make sure my computer, my virtual machine, is inside the Nat Network. I'm going to click OK. And finally, I'm going to hit start. All right, and this is going to start the Windows 10 installation. On the first screen, I'm going to select the default language is English. The currency format is going to be English, and the keyboard layout is going to be US. Click next and click install now. All right, so in this section, we need to enter the Windows key, the product key, which we don't have. We are going to use it as a, we are going to use the evaluation period from Windows. So I'm going to say, I don't have a key. Now I'm going to select the version of Windows that I want to install. So I'm going to select Windows 10 Pro. Click next. I'm going to scroll down and accept the license agreement. Click next. And I'm going to click on custom install. Here I have only one hard drive, which is 50 gigs. I'm going to let Windows partition and format the hard drive for me. So I'm going to click on new. I'm going to accept the defaults. Click apply. Click OK. All right. And finally, I'm going to click next. At this stage, the Windows installation is copying the files from the CD or ISO image into the hard drive to later proceed with installing the operating system. Once the installation ISO image finishes copying the file from the disk to the hard drive, the virtual machine is going to restart, and then we're going to be prompted with the setup wizard. So the setup wizard, the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to select the region. I'm going to leave it United States, and I'm going to click yes. Is this the right keyboard layout? US, click yes. Want to add a second keyboard? Skip. In this screen, we need to make a selection whether this will be an installation for personal use or this machine will be part of an organization. I'm going to select the first one, click next. The installation of the setup is prompting me to enter my email address. This is if you want to connect your computer to your online accounts. But in this section, I'm going to select offline account. I'm going to click on limited experience since I'm not going to enter an email account. This will be a setup for the virtual machine. Next, I'm going to enter my name. And I'm going to click next. So now I'm going to select the password. Make sure you remember this password. And I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to confirm the password. Click next. All right, here you need to select 3 security questions. And press next. In this section, we need to select the privacy settings for the installation. I'm going to turn off location, turn off diagnosis of data, as all of these are services that are going to be running in the background, and this is a virtual machine, so I want to limit the number of services that are running simultaneously. And I'm going to click accept. All right, in the next screen, we need to customize the experience of the operating system, of the user experience. So I'm going to select business and then click accept. Do you want to use Cortana? I'm going to click not now. So once the installation is complete, we got this prompt here, this message saying that do you want to allow the PC to be discoverable by other PCs on the network? I'm going to click no. All right, so the next thing that we want to do, we want to install the VirtualBox guest addition tools. And these are a set of device drivers and applications that are going to improve the performance of the virtual guest, especially video performance. So I'm going to click on device and install guest addition CD. So I'm going to click on file application and then on this PC. Then I'm going to click on the CD in order to open the content of the CD, and I'm going to click on VBox window addition. This is going to start the wizard. I'm going to click next, next, and install. Go ahead and click install. And finally, I'm going to leave it as reboot now and click finish. All right, so once the machine has finished rebooting, I'm going to log in using my username and password. All right, so notice after we installed the the guest addition tools, once I decide to maximize the virtual machine, notice how the desktop automatically resizes to the size of my host operating system. All right, so far we've installed Windows in the guest virtual machine, and we also installed the guest addition tools. At this point that we have a fresh installation, what we want to do, we want to take a snapshot of the system, and what a snapshot allows us to do is to capture the state of the machine at that point in time. So if later later in the future we decide to revert back to this state, we can use the snapshot. In order to take a snapshot, I'm going to click on Machine and take a snapshot. I'm going to name it Fresh Install and Guest Tools. You can write a description here, but I think the name is very descriptive, and then I'm going to hit OK. All right, so if you go back into the VirtualBox Manager and you select the Windows 10 virtual machine, and then click on this icon here, and then click on Snapshots, you can see all the snapshots that we've taken so far, and this is the current state of the machine. Once the guest addition tools has been installed in the guest operating system, you're going to notice a better integration between the virtual machine and the host operating system, especially when it comes to video graphics performance. So notice now that if I maximize the virtual machine, the guest operating system automatically resizes the size of the desktop to the size of the computer. Again, if I maximize it, and notice that it resizes back to the previous state. Additionally, you can use the handles and increase the size of the window, and you can maximize it, and you can click on View. And notice here when it says Virtual Screen 1, you can use this in order to scale on the size of the desktop of the virtual machine. Basically, what you're going to do, you're going to zoom in into the virtual machine. So I'm going to scale it to 125, and notice how the resolution changes. I'm going to set it back to 100. Another thing that you can do with the when viewing the virtual machine is to enable full screen mode. So if you click on View and click on full screen mode, and notice that the guest operating system now enters in a full screen mode, and it seems that the guest operating system is actually running on the computer. So if you want to get out of full screen mode, if you hover the mouse toward the bottom of the screen, and notice that you get these this bar here, which you have available all the menus to the virtual machine, and you can click on maximize. All right, and it goes back to the previous state. You can enter full screen mode by hitting the, if you click on View, and notice here that you have a shortcut key. So that is the host key plus the F key. So the host key on a Windows machine is the right control key. So if you hit the right control key and the letter F, it'll go automatically into full screen mode. So to get out of full screen mode, hit the control and the F again, and it'll go back. Another view mode is the seamless mode. That is the host and L. What seamless mode allows you to do is to integrate the applications of the virtual machine into the host operating system. So it seems that you're actually running applications of the virtual machine inside the host operating system. And the other mode is the scale mode. Again, I'm going to say do not show these messages again, and switch to scale mode. And scale mode allows you to scale the size of the virtual machine. And notice that in scale mode, you don't have the menu bar that is at the top, and you also don't have the toolbar at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to get out of scale mode. And so if you don't have the toolbar at the top, how you get out of scale mode? That's simple. You can either use the shortcut for scale mode, or you can use the shortcut to display the menu, which is the control key and the home key, and that is going to give you the menu in the middle of the screen, in which you can choose to get out of scale mode. Another thing that you can do, you can eliminate the menu bar at the top, so you get more real estate inside your Windows operating system. So if you go to View, Menu Bar, Show Menu Bar, and notice that it's not there anymore. And you can do the same thing. If you do Control Home, you can go to View, and for the status bar, show status bar. VirtualBox has different network modes, and each mode has a different configuration. For example, in the host only, notice that the VM has communication with the host. And we also have communication between VMs, but there is no communication between the VM and the internet or the physical network. In the internal network, the VM doesn't have any communication with the host or with the internet, but you have communication between the VMs. This type of network is useful if you want to place the machines in a contained environment, in a complete isolated environment. The bridge network functions exactly as a machine that is on your physical network. You have communication between the VM and the host. You have communication among the VMs and also between the VM and the internet. On the NAT mode, you have communication between the VM and the host can communicate with the VM through some sort of port forwarding configuration, but the VM doesn't have any communication with other VMs. The VM also can access the physical LAN and the internet. On the NAT service, also known as a NAT network, the VM and the host can communicate. The host can communicate with the VM through port forwarding, and you have communication between VMs, and also you have communication with the internet. All right, so let's say, for example, that I wanted to see the network configuration for this virtual machine, which is a Windows 10 virtual machine. So I'm going to click on this icon, and then I'm going to go to Details, and here on Details, I want to click on Network. All right, so notice that I have different tabs here. Each tab is for a different adapter that I can enable for that particular machine. So right now I have only one adapter connected, and that adapter is enabled. If you uncheck this box here, it's like removing a network card from the computer. So if you start the machine, you will not see a network card attached to that specific machine. So I'm going to enable it back, and here what it says attached to, this is the type of network and that we have the machine connected to. In this case, we're using a NAT network, which means that we have connection with the internet, but we don't have connection with other VMs in the same network. I can choose any other network from this drop-down menu here. For example, I can place the machine in a bridge adapter. That means that the machine is connected to my physical network, just like a regular computer. Or I can place the machine in a NAT network, all right? So here, if I place the machine in a NAT network, I need to have a NAT network created, which I'm going to show you how to create a NAT network. It provides a lot of flexibility from the point of view of creating a more real type of scenario in a network. And here I can expand on the advanced section, and notice that here I can choose the network adapter, the physical network adapter from a drop-down menu, and these are the adapters that are available on the host machines, and so I can select the adapter here. This one is to enable promiscuous mode, and this is the MAC address. Notice that you can randomize the MAC address using this icon here. So for example, if you decide to clone the machine and two machines have the MAC address, you can randomize the MAC address using this button. And this is cable connected, so if you uncheck this, it's like the cable is actually unplugged from the machine. I'm going to leave it connected, and I'm going to bring it back to NAT network. Notice that when the machine is in NAT network, I have available this port forwarding button here, which allows me, which is going to allow me to access the machine from the host operating system. So, for example, if I wanted to run a web server on this virtual machine, and I want to access that website from my host operating system, I need to open a port, a forwarding port um, to this virtual machine. We're going to also take a look at our port forwarding later in this video. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and click cancel, and I'm going to click OK. All right, so what I want to do now, I want to create a NAT network. Click on File, and then I'm going to head over to Preferences. Here on Preferences, I'm going to click on Network, and notice that I already have a NAT network created. So if I wanted to create another one, I can click on this plus sign here, and that is going to create another NAT network. I can edit this existing NAT network by clicking on this button here, and I'm going to name this one NAT Network 2. And notice that the IP range for this network is the 10.0.2.0. So this is a 24 subnet mask, which means that my network address is this section here, and the last octet is the one that I have available to assign to the virtual machines. And notice also that I have a DHCP service available for this type of network, and by default it doesn't support IP version 6. So if you need support for IP version 6 on this network, you need to enable this checkbox here. And if you want the machines inside this network to be accessible from the host operating system or from the physical network, you need to create a port forwarding here, which we're going to see later in the video. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and then I'm going to click OK. So now I'm going to head back into my virtual machine, and I'm going to again click on Network, and I'm going to place the machine inside the NAT network. And notice here that if I expand on this name drop down menu, now I have my two networks here. I'm going to select the second one. So now when my machine boots up the next time, it's going to boot up into this network configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK and start the machine. So now if I go to my network configuration, I'm going to start the command prompt, and I'm going to say IP config, and notice that the IP address for this particular machine is 10.0.2.15, and the subnet mask is 255.255.255, and the default gateway is 10.0.2.1, which means that the machine is currently inside the NAT network that we just configured. All right, so let's say that I wanted to access services or daemons running on this machine from the host operating system. For example, in this machine, I have a web server and an SSH server running. So in order to access those services from the host operating system, I need to use port forwarding. So in order to configure port forwarding, the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to open the terminal inside my virtual machine, and I need to find the IP address of my virtual machine. So I'm going to say IPA, and this is the IP address, 10.0.2.15. So now I'm going to invoke the menu by doing Control Home. On the machine, I'm going to click on Settings, and here I'm going to click on Network and expand on Advanced. Notice that the machine is attached to the NAT network. This is different from a NAT network. And then I'm going to click on Port Forwarding. Here I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm going to add a rule. This rule, I'm going to name it Web. The protocol is going to be TCP. The host IP address is going to be 127.0.0.1. The guest IP address is going to be 10.0.2.15. The destination port is going to be 80. And the guest port, you can leave it as 80, but I'm going to set it to 8080. So there's no conflict. And I'm going to add another rule. This rule, I'm going to name it SSH. Again, 127.0.0.1. And local port is going to be 2222. Guest IP address 10.0.2.15. And the port is 22. All right. So once I finish adding those two rules, I'm going to click OK and OK. Okay, so now I'm going to head back into my host operating system, and if I open the browser and I type localhost 8080, I should be able to get a web page from the virtual machine. All right. So the other way that we are going to connect is using SSH. In order to do that, I'm going to open PowerShell. So I'm going to press on the window key and type PowerShell. Press enter. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to type SSH -P 2222, and then it's going to be my username at localhost. Remember, we need to establish a connection with our own host, and then it's going to be forwarded to the virtual machine. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to accept the certificate. I'm going to press enter and enter the password. So now if I do IPA, notice that this is the IP address of my virtual machine. And if I do host name, I'm connected to Ubuntu BBox 1. Okay, so how can we move files and folders between the host operating system and the guest operating system? One of the simplest ways to do this is by enabling a drag and drop on the guest virtual machine. So I'm going to hit Control and Home key, and I'm going to go into Settings. Here where it says General, I'm going to click on Advanced. And notice here that in Advanced I have a shared clipboard, which allows me to copy text from the host to the guest operating system, and also allows me to drag and drop files and directories from the host to the guest operating system. By default, these two are disabled, so I'm going to go ahead and enable bidirectional for copy and bidirectional for copying text and bidirectional for drag and drops. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So at this point, I should be able to drag any file and copy into the desktop. Okay. And the same goes with text. So I have a file right now open on my host operating system. So I'm going to say hello world. I'm going to highlight everything. Control C. Actually, I'm going to right click and copy, and going to go inside the virtual machine, and I should be able to paste the text inside the document. And the other way that I wanted to show you how to transfer files between the host operating system and the guest is by using share folders. So let's say that I have a directory that I want to be able to share with my virtual machine. I want the content, for example, of this directory to be available to my virtual machine. Right now, this share folder contains a hello world document. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to access the settings of my virtual machine. And then I'm going to click on settings. And here I'm going to click on share folders. Next, I'm going to click on the plus sign. And I'm going to click on the drop down menu, click on others. And I'm going to navigate to the location of the share folder, which is this one here. I'm going to click select folder. For the name, I'm going to leave it as share. I want the folder to be read-only. That means that the user inside the guest operating system will not be able to make any changes. And I want it to be auto mount. So I'm going to enable this too. And now I need to enter the mount point. The mount point, I'm going to use the UNC path, which is / bbox dash svr / share. Okay. And I'm going to select make permanent. I'm going to click OK, click OK. Now I'm going to head back inside my virtual machine and I'm going to open the file manager. I want to click on this PC and notice that the share is now available here. So if I click on it, I have the hello world available to me here. Another advantage of VirtualBox, especially when it comes to creating virtual machine, is the fact that you can import a virtual hard drive, so you don't have to go over the installation of the operating system. So let's take, for example, this virtual machine here. So if I click on settings and then I go to storage, notice that right now I have no virtual disk attached to this storage controller. So here towards the bottom, I have three different icons. One is to create a new storage controller. The other one is to remove the storage controller and to add a new hard disk. So I'm going to click on add new hard disk. And here I'm going to choose hard disk. When the hard disk selector opens, I have the option to select an existing hard drive that I have imported into VirtualBox, or I can choose to select another one. I'm going to browse to the location of my hard drive. Notice that the virtual hard drive has the .vdi extension, so I'm going to click on it and I'm going to click open. Now I'm going to select it, make sure that I select the correct virtual drive. I'm going to click choose, and the hard drive has been imported. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to cover in this video is how to add a USB wireless interface to your virtual machine. So I have a wireless USB here, and I'm going to connect it to the computer. Right after I plug the USB device on my computer, the computer recognizes the device by making a sound. So if I click on this icon here, and notice that is a 802.11n USB wireless LAN card. So this is my device. So if I come here to the guest operating system and I click on the network icon, notice that I don't have a wireless connection. So the device has not been recognized by the virtual machine. So right now the computer has control of the device. So in order for me to plug the device to the guest operating system, I need to come here. You see this USB icon. If I right click on it, that I have the options to select the Ralink 802.11 WLAN. So I'm going to do that. So after the device has been connected to the virtual machine, I'm going to head over to the network icon. And notice here that I have a wireless signal. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on select network. All the networks within the range of my wireless device should be listed here. So I'm going to click on a network and click connect. Right now I'm currently connected to this network, but usually you click connect and then the connection is established. In many instances, after you connect the wireless device to the virtual machine, the wireless device does not work as intended. And the reason is that VirtualBox, the USB device needs to be added to VirtualBox, and VirtualBox needs to recognize that device. So in order to do that, you need to turn off the machine, and you need to go to settings, and on the settings you need to click on USB. Notice that I don't have a USB here, so if you click on the plus sign, you should be able to add your USB device. Okay, and notice that right now 2.0 USB 2.0 is selected. From past experience, that I know that 2.0 it doesn't perform very well, so you need to change it to USB 3.0. In order to do that, you need to turn off the machine and then select USB 3.0, click OK, and restart the machine. You can also make changes. You can also edit the configuration for the USB wireless card. So you select your USB, and then you come here and make any changes to the configuration. I'm going to click OK. One of the advantages of VirtualBox is that it allows you to import virtual appliances into your VirtualBox environment. So you don't have to create the virtual machine and install the operating system from scratch. A virtual appliance is a virtual machine that has been packaged into a file containing all the necessary files and configurations. So in order to import a virtual appliance, I'm going to import a Ubuntu virtual appliance, so I don't have to install Ubuntu. So I'm going to click on Tools, and then here in Tools, I'm going to click on Import. Now I want to search for the file, so I'm going to click on the folder icon. Then I'm going to head over to my downloads directory, and I'm going to click on this Ubuntu Desktop 21.ova. And notice that the virtual appliance usually have the OVA or OBF extension. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to click Open, and then I'm going to click on Next, review all the configurations, and finally I'm going to click on Import. And finally, the virtual machine has been imported. You can click on it and select details and review the settings for that particular virtual machine. Again, you can click on any of the specific details and change the details, for example, changing the name of the virtual machine or the amount of memory. Another options that you have when it comes to creating virtual machine is the ability to clone the virtual machine. So let's say that you created a virtual machine, you installed the operating system, and you need to create a virtual environment in which you need multiple versions of that specific virtual machine. So you can, for example, click on a virtual machine and right click on it and then click on clone. And this is going to create a duplicate of that virtual machine. So I'm going to set the defaults, and notice that the name of the new virtual machine contains the clone string at the end. So I'm going to click next. Now it's going to be a full clone and hit clone.